tune in, just post a comment below so that you can let us know whether it's live or whether you are watching a rerun.
Hey guys,
have to swap sides here because you've got the radiator.
Yeah, exactly. Right, so we are Facebook Live, but we are also doing this on YouTube. So for those who are watching on YouTube on a replay, hi guys, welcome to this week's Coach Talk. So this week we are going to be chatting just about a team review, seeing how everybody in the gym's been going, and also just a recap on food, because I know you've been having some great results with your food and those macros that you gave me, as well as the supplementation's been working really well. And also just how hard is it to sort of run to your heart rate or do cardio to your heart rate, as some of the guys have been finding out this week.
We've been talking about this for about 6 months, and you've been, I got that head switch.
Yeah.
So I've been doing it for a while. But it is really, really difficult when you're switching from, for me it was obviously, I hate doing standing up cardio. I'm going to sit down at any point.
Exactly.
But it's just that mind switch between, my goal is now not going as fast as I can. Yeah. My goal is my heart rate, and so it's that, as I say, it's just flipping it on your head. Look at this awesome result I've managed to keep in the orange zone, between 135, 155, whatever it is that wherever it is you are with that heart rate. That becomes your goal, rather than I'm going to do 5-minute miles or whatever it is. So it's yeah.
So we'll jump into that a little bit later on the live. So yeah, mate. So let's take us through your week. What's been good? What's been bad? What's been ugly? I'm just going to get the iPad, guys, so we can see if there's anybody commenting and see what's been good, Simon. What's been happening in the world of training?
Obviously, as you say, I looked at your and my macros in a lot more detail, and so where I'm still using the hand size portions a la Precision, a la Renaissance, I have ended up fueling my workouts a lot more with carbs, and being able to sort of look at our training day load, work out where the calories needed to be for the week, and then actually cycling those calories around our training has worked pretty well for me. So I've dropped about, I've gone from 80.4 to, yesterday I was 78, this morning I was 78.4. So my t-shirts still feel like my t-shirts felt as a gauge, so I don't think I've lost muscle mass, and I know that's a very, very subjective thing to say.
Yeah.
But I've been supplementing with the aminos, making sure that I'm getting 15 grams of amino acids, 3 grams of leucine in my load up on a morning. The load up I'm taking just after I've eaten my breakfast omelette. So I've been conscious that I wanted to try and preserve that muscle mass. So I'm thinking, the way that my belt's feeling and the way that I look, I'm thinking the bulk of that weight loss has been fat, which is obviously really what we want to achieve.
Yeah.
And then my sets and my jumps, my recovery, I think I'm about there with those. My 7 to 8 set on Thursday felt tough, and I think I managed to get enough carbs in for the recovery after that.
So would you say it was truly a 7 to 8, or would you say we started to creep up to a 9? Because that's the key thing, isn't it? Although we plan, or for me, I plan for you, is to hit that 7 to 8. But there's got to be times when actually we put it down, and there's so many different variables, and it's kind of like, was it a 7 to 8, or was it starting to creep into a 9? And I think this is where it's not an exact science.
Yeah, when I started doing my fact, I had a rep range in mind.
Yeah.
And again, this is the beauty of how we work, which is driven by you. I started off with a rep range in mind. If I'd carried on with that, it would have been 8, 9, 10.
Yeah. Okay.
I dropped the rep range back, and that allowed me to scale it back, to bring it back to that sort of 7, 8. But the drive out of first dip felt more laboured, less snappy.
Yeah.
Overhead, certainly that first set with the 28s was very, that's really hard.
Yeah.
Then when I focused on the relaxing,
we had that chat.
We had that chat, which was really good.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I want to share with the guys there. Yeah. So what was the chat? What prompted it? What was it?
I mean, obviously we're an endurance sport. I was holding my breath pretty much from the bottom of first dip all the way through to getting the bells overhead and my hips back, my quads into that very relaxed state. And then it was a very, very forced and laboured breath. Relaxing my breathing while still being able to kind of lock out meant that relaxed or reduced the intensity as well. Incidentally this morning I was looking at my heart rate from my sets this morning and comparing them with a previous set when I wasn't relaxed as much, wasn't breathing as well, and the heart rate increase from resting to that 160 where I am working, the angle of the increase a lot shallower, which obviously means that I'm building up a lot slower in terms of the intensity and my heart rate. So again, the relaxation and the breathing is meaning that I'm not just going a near vertical, from 90 to 160 like that. It's from 90 to wherever it was over about a minute.
And
so
guys,
that was really interesting to look at as well.
And just one thing on that and stuff as well is it wasn't a drastic change. We were literally, as I was watching Si, and I'm lucky because I've worked with Si for quite a long time now, so I know what he does really well, what he needs to try and improve on, so I can kind of hone that thing. But it just sort of really stood out to me that one of the key things he wasn't doing, it was just kind of missing out of breath, so missing out one count, and that had a massive impact on the way he was standing out. So what should the gold standard, and if you watch any lifter, as soon as the heels touch the floor in second dip, their arms are locked, but they also start to pull the legs back straight away. They're not standing up out of it, they're pulling the legs back. Okay, so if you watch any lifter, and I've been that guy who has literally zoomed in on
people's knees and
slow mode versions on YouTube and slowed it down to like 0.10 speed, just looked at the feet, looked at the way the knees, and soon as they land, whether they move back quickly or they move back slower than average, they're still moving the knees back, the top lifters and stuff as well. And what was happening was, because Si was staying tense, it meant as soon as he landed, he had a specific pause on that second dip, but then as soon as he wanted to stand up out of it, it was very forceful, and it was kind of it was too sharp. So then what happened was it would cause a little bit more movement in the bells overhead, which ended up like a double movement, which again is not efficient. But also, roughly from first dip to fixating overhead, each rep he was kind of holding his breath for up to a second and a half. And now if you think, well, Si generally goes at around about 10 10 plus. So anything north of 10, realistically, from the 28s, 24s, and below. So realistically, for every 10 reps, if he's holding his breath for a second, that's 10 seconds where he's holding his breath over an endurance sport. So that's quite a significant time when we break it down like that, you know. But it was great to see, because actually what happened was you weren't then relying on your muscles to do predominantly a lot of the work. You were actually just utilizing the tendons and the ligaments and kind of that reactive strength that you've got, as we've seen through the jumps and stuff. So Si's got really good reactive strength in terms of what he's able to utilize in terms of eccentric straight to concentric load. So that's the stuff we've been looking at with the jump mat. So by looking at that, Si's actually got really good jump height, so we know that he can utilize that. So actually getting him to do that on the kettlebells is going to stand him in good stead.
Charlotte says springy for an old man.
Yeah,
Thanks,
yeah,
Charlotte.
yeah. He's not quite a rusty old springy. Not quite, but no, and that was great to see. But I think for me this week's there's been a lot of penny drop moments with a lot of the team in the gym, which has been great to see.
Yeah,
you know, I think we used something with Dan. I seen it on one of the guys. I think it might have been Brittany, like Fit Brit. She showed us a drill with the towel around the kettlebell, and we got that with Dan because Dan, one of our young lifters, fantastic, you know, but just pulling with the arms too much, and as he was going on to heavier weights or trying to up the pace a little bit, making it really, really difficult for himself. So we got him to do swings with a towel, a t-shirt. So a t-shirt was wrapped around the kettlebell. He had hold of the t-shirt. Now what happens with that is you can't pull with the arms, or it just bounces about the kettlebell. So it just forces you just to move around, and it just adds a bigger pendulum.
Great pendulum. And the feedback that you get, because the t-shirt is slightly elastic as well over a towel, it really accentuates that. And he's done. So now, I mean, this morning when he came in early and he was warming up, got him straight on that t-shirt. Yeah. And then again, it makes a hell of a lot more sense when you and I are shouting t-shirt.
Yeah, that's it. You just randomly across the room, t-shirt, Dad, t-shirt. You know, everyone's looking at us weird, like. But yeah, and so that's been a great one for Dan.
I noticed with Danielle this morning you were doing.
Yeah, so Danielle been struggling with a little bit with second dip. Really strong, so she was pushing but using her arms too much, so what would happen was the kettlebell would continue to go up as she'd land in second dip, so then it just jumped back down. And then because she got a slight issue on the right arm nerve, I believe, it can lose its power a little bit as well. So it's about making sure that she was solid. So today it was kind of the cue of, imagine you've got an apple on the top of your head. I come up with all sorts. Guys, if you ever, like, what we need to, like, film our sessions, and people are just, what on earth is going on in there? But basically, there's all sorts of random cues that are going out there. But basically, it was, imagine you've got an apple on the top of your head, an arm pulling the bow. Now, anybody who's ever seen me shoot anything or throw anything, you know that you best duck if I'm going to hit that apple. So every single rep she was pulling herself down, but what that meant was actually to pull herself down quick, she had to do her first dip quick and get down. So she was being more elastic, but then as soon as she landed, she was boom. Oh, I'm there. And then it was almost like, as she was working, it was like kind of this, what's happening here, which was fantastic. And that was, she did that on a 7-minute set on long cycle, which was great, you know, which has been a really good revelation for her. And then Claire, she's been working hard on snatch, and I think snatch is probably one of her fauvorite movements now. She says, yeah. And I was watching her snatch earlier in the week, and just giving her like audio cue. So as soon as she was coming up ready for acceleration pull, it was kind of like a snap, snap, So she had that feel, but that audible cue of, oh, pull, 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 and get that acceleration pull every single time. And that has just been every single session now. The guys are just coming on fantastically, which has been great. Really, really good to see. And yeah, I think that the team's got a lot of good stuff happening at the moment.
Definitely,
I think there's been a lot of milestones.
People are firing off each other as well, though, and it was great to see today when Danielle and Claire were getting changed to go. They were sharing the cues. And it's like what we were just saying to Pete there when we've got him coming down on Monday to come and watch the sessions. You know, if I'm working with somebody, you're working with somebody, and then those two people go on talk, they're getting twice as many coaching cues. And you know, the coaching cues that we've got going on, you know, people will be listening to you and I talking to Dan, to Nevaeh. So working in that group environment, you're getting a lot more coaching. And I think with there being two of us as well, it just...
So I think my takeaway message with that would be is, and I've known it for a long time. And luckily, early on in my coaching career, when I started taking everything, realised that there was a whole Pandora's box of coaching cues and everything out there. External cues. There was a guy called Duncan French, unbelievable coach. I think he's head of performance over at the UFC Performance Center in Las Vegas, so don't feel too sorry for him. But he's worked with Newcastle, he's worked in Notre Dame, one of the top universities over in
huge college football.
Yeah, you know, like serious stuff. But he really opened my eyes to constraints-based learning, variable learning skills, and sort of the external coaching cues. So what I'd say to guys, don't be scared to kind of think out the box when it comes to trying to get a drill or trying to get a movement and stuff. Don't be scared to be quite creative, because at the end of the day, rather than thinking, right, okay, so we need to internally rotate our shoulder, and then as we come up we're going to be externally rotating while extending our foot and all of these things. But if you can try and find a simple cue that works for you, whatever it may be, so you'll hear again all sorts of random stuff like me shouting to like, right, open the fridge door the same time as you're squashing an orange under your heel, you know. So let's actually, what does that mean? Well, that's like rotation and an extension of the foot. Totally get that. Do you know? So and it's good because obviously we've got kids from like 7. You know, start talking about muscle groups and stuff like that. They aren't gonna get it, but science is proven it. You know, external cues. A lot more people have got a reference, something, an previous experience, i.e. when you get somebody to do a squat, when they first start, you get them to sit on a chair. They know what that feels like, do you know? So it's the same thing. So it's about when you're doing your kettlebell movements, don't be scared to break it down and be really creative. Keeps it fun, keeps it a bit silly and stuff like that, but you find one cue that works, like that one with Dan. You know, we were sort of scratching our heads because we were like, how can we get him to get it to relax the arms and keep it long, you know? And we're sort of saying, well, we've tried this, we've tried that, what can we do? Should we try this? You know, and that's our jobs as coaches.
Well, that's part of putting the jigsaw puzzle together, isn't it? And it's making sure that what's going on in our head, which, you know, is not necessarily Pandora's box as well.
Let's not pull it out.
But, you know, it becomes trying to get it out of your head in a different way that some people will understand. And because we work with such a diverse population, the cues that we use with Dan aren't going to work with Charlotte, with, you know, and so it's again, that keeps the coaching fresh. That keeps you, because it then becomes another puzzle to solve.
Yeah, definitely.
So it really keeps us fresh as well, which is great.
You know, and I mean, like I say, we've got a few guys who are training really hard for for qualification and stuff now, which is great. So the team's coming good. My training, hopefully I covered it in the Friday focus and stuff. So, but yeah, felt good this morning. I had a 35-minute skipping session, staying in that heart rate zone, and then it was 10 snatch on the left, 10 snatch on the right, 15 snatch on the left, 15 snatch on the right, 20 and 20. With a 32, but I've deliberately did that next to Joe and Charlotte, so I've got the video. I haven't watched it back yet, but really to try and get those guys to see, but also to see what does it look like across the line, what's the variables in the movement and stuff, because I've been chatting with James Ross, obviously based in Sydney, super intelligent guy, really the guy behind GS Science. Guys, if you really want to like geek out and have a really good understanding of biomechanics and in certain movements, I'd really recommend checking out James. And if you're seeing it, mate, hi. Some great stuff. But we've been chatting around about the variability in movement, because obviously I've been using a push band, which is velocity based training, and and James sent me a snapshot of one of his jerk sets from a while ago, I think, and he really interesting to see the variable in the movement, in terms of you're not consistently hitting it, in terms of the numbers and the differentiation in the learning. It's really been really exciting to see, really interesting. So yeah, I'd like to say once I've got a good catalogue of data, it'd be really cool to get that out to use guys.
But it'd be good to measure other people as well, so
yeah,
that we can increase
absolutely.
that. And also it would be really, really fascinating, and I'm going to geek out here, but it would be really fascinating looking at across the age demographic and just see in the ageing population if there is a degradation in that acceleration.
Yeah, I think that's kind of going to occur, but I think what's going to be really interesting is the velocity of a kettlebell jerk. And this is the only one I've been using it on. The velocity of a kettlebell jerk is kind of always going to stay consistent, because it needs to get up to travel into that movement.
Absolutely.
And you'll be able to see as soon as it starts to drop beneath that or above in a massive way, you can see where someone's either using their shoulders to muscle it up, or they're just not actually getting it up there.
But it'd be interesting to look at if there is any age related. Obviously, the speed of contraction is the thing that's driving the bell up.
Yeah.
And so it would be interesting to look to see whether we could extrapolate that to think, actually, the older you get, you're not able to hit that acceleration point, and then take it from there. Can we limit that degeneration as well?
Yeah.
So like, there's loads of
there's
stuff.
All sorts of good stuff. Yeah,
we can really geek out here, mate.
Yeah. People are going to fall asleep again, but like I say, this is why at the moment we're using the jump mat. In terms of just one, it's more of a fatigue monitoring tool at the moment, but also how strong are we in terms of utilising our eccentric load,
And interesting to look at that this morning, because I thought I was more tired than the jump mat said.
So it's that perception sometimes, it's kind of, the big mental aspect of it as well. So it's really cool. But I think touching on what you were talking about earlier and moving on from kind of the actual coaching side of it was the macros and the stuff that you sent over when it comes to the nutrition. Now, we all know that Sai uses very much a coaching and a habits-based model when it comes to nutrition, which is great. But I found it really useful because I sort of stick to that and I'll follow it to a certain extent. But I found it really useful to really go back to it in a granular level. Like, actually, we all look at 2 handfuls of this, a handful of that, a handful of this, but actually breaking it down and just saying, actually try and utilise carbs at this point and the nutrient timing. Sai did a really good report for me, which was fantastic, to really break down of, actually, Steve, I need you to try and work on getting this in, I need to try and work on getting that. And even off the space of a week, I have dropped a kilo in body weight, like I said in Friday Focus. But also, just the little things, the framing and the timing, being able to really maximise
it allows you to get everything out of your training.
Yeah, yeah.
And a 7 to 8 is a 7 to 8. And
Yeah.
11 or a 10.
Yeah.
Or as it
what it should be, do you know? But also the recovery side of it and stuff as well. You know, but I found it really interesting. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts were on sort of peeling that right back down. Was there any sort of surprises, or was there anything that sort of felt, actually I've been going on hand size portions, but actually probably been having one too many hand size portions, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, for me it was not eating enough carbs. And so peeling it back, looking at the ratios, and actually looking at the calories from, you can still use those hand size portions, but actually looking at when, as opposed to just going, right, okay, I'm going to have 2 to 3 fistfuls of green veg, because let's face it, you're never ever going to get fat eating broccoli. The 1 to 2 portions of lean protein, the thumbs of fats and the carbs, but actually balancing and really looking at, when am I going to have my fats, when am I going to have my carbs, and looking at how much of my carbs, but also you know, looking beyond that and thinking, actually, you know what, I need to get X grams of carbs in per kilo of body weight, because I want high enough carbs to fuel my workout.
Yeah.
But then thinking, hang on a second, it was a great puzzle, and as I say, Syra drove home from London and I sat for 3.5 hours in the car and worked them all out. So taking weekly calorie load and then dividing that and cycling it across the training, mirroring where do we need that calorie load, or where do we need that carb load, where do we want that the higher fat stroke fasting, so that we get the response of that. You know, so really it kind of reiterated and opposed to moving from just because most of the nutrition clients I see are guys who want to lose weight but don't want to do a 28-day challenge, because at the end of the day, you do your Slimming World, you do this, do that, your 28-day fat loss. Great, I've lost 6 kilos, but now what do I do? And so a lot of my nutrition stuff and my weight loss, it is, as you say, habit-based. Change the way you eat for life. And so it was really good to go and take that a step further and go, right, okay, athletic development, athletic nutrition, slightly different.
I think
so putting my spin on that, and it's, as you say, you've dropped a kilo, I've dropped a kilo and a half.
I think what was the biggest thing for me was realising that, again, humans, we're all creatures of habit, but actually I was probably eating the same things every single day in the same quantities, and I was getting the same across the week, which was fine. The total outcome was probably the same, but it wasn't optimal. Whereas by breaking it down and managing it with the training, and that's what you've done, you massage the numbers to make sure that they fit with the training, and actually the macro splits alter on the different days and stuff. And actually being mindful of, right, I've got a 9 to 10 day here. So my 9 to 10 days, my breakfast is different. My pre-training snack is different. My post-training snack is different. Then on my recovery days, where it's a 6 and below, my breakfast is different. My lunch is different. My tea is different. So actually getting into a habit and being mindful of that, that's what was probably the biggest apparent thing for me, because although I wasn't eating that bad, you know,
you weren't optimizing what you were eating.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like, right, okay, we'll use the car analogy. Everybody uses a car analogy. Yes, we're getting we're getting enough calories in to support our training, but it's actually as and when we kind of need it, you know. So if I use a car analogy, I was probably on my 9 to 10 days, I was filling up the tank when it was probably a little bit lower, but only putting 20 quid in, not putting the full amount in. But then on my recovery days, when I'm not driving as far, just put the full amount in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think using that and actually looking at the nutrition around that and just saying, when are my hard days? When are my recovery days? When are my medium days? So then actually my food structure and my calorie intake, or more my macro split, is going to be slightly different, you know. And I think that was a big wake-up call for me. So I think I really recommend anybody to sort of look at what do their weekly meals look like, and then looking at
just look at where your training is.
Look at where your training is,
and that's your start of a tenner. And then take, okay, and instead of looking at my daily calories, I'm going to look at my weekly calories.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that gives you, you know, weight loss happens over a period of time. It doesn't happen straight away.
Stops at 12 o'clock at night, doesn't it?
No.
Your daily your calorie intake.
Really not.
You know,
No.
if you eat 5,000 calories in one day, it
It's
resets.
fine.
It resets at midnight.
The world
doesn't
forgets about that. It's in the past, and I can go, no, sorry, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, look at your training, look at your weekly calories, break it down.
Yeah, big thing for me that with this week, you know. And so yeah, I mean, so moving on from that, obviously my 6 days, 6 and less, are cardio output. So obviously working at a heart rate between 130 to 150. For me, it tends to be about 145 to 150, just because
but you're
of my level, younger, and everything else like that, you know. But for me, but I've been getting a few of the other guys in the gym to do it, and poor Charlotte. Now, perfect example. Hopefully, some of you guys might be able to relate to this. But for years, Charlotte was like, every run has got to be a PB,
chase the pace,
or I'm going to be. My goal is to hit like so many minute miles and stuff like that, and I was very much the same. You know, Si was like, right, I'm going to sit down on this rower and
pull it across the garage.
I will fall off it by the end of it, but I've done my 35 minutes of cardio, Steve, you know. But actually, looking at the bigger picture, saying to the guys, actually, the reason why you're doing these runs isn't to kill yourself. You're not wanting to run in the red zone. You're running in the green zone. Why is that? Well, you want to improve the left side of your heart, the pump, so you want to open up that valve. So, okay, so if you do high intensity, you thicken the heart wall, so it's a stronger muscle. But if you work in the green zone, at 130 to 150 variables, obviously it's very individualized, but as a general rule of thumb, you're working on that for longer periods. You're actually working that left ventricle, okay? So you want that to be as wide as you possibly can, because that's going to allow more blood out. If you've got a really strong pump, doesn't matter how strong this is, if your left ventricle is only small, it's not used to opening up, it doesn't matter how strong this is if you're doing high intensity. So when Si was sort of falling off the rower, because everything had to be at a 10 and it was 100 mile an hour, and you know, I was like, no, lift to your heart, go to your heart rate. And do you know what? It is so difficult.
It takes
a
huge mind shift.
Because
really
you sort of thinking. I was chatting to one of the guys who I coach online, and he was like, "Yeah, but I want to get into 100%. I want to get." It's not about that, you know. I mean, you really got to change that mindset, especially for us guys who love training, because it's like, oh, give it everything, 100%. No, I'm not working until that, you know, I'm falling over and stuff like that. So difficult. I mean, I did it. I think I mentioned it last week. I went for a run on the Sunday, and running along, you know, yeah, I felt really good. Heart rate played in my ear 145 or something like that in the first 2 kilometers. I said, all right, yeah, steady away, you know. Felt really slow, and then so I was like picking up the pace a little bit, and then the heart rate was played in the average heart rate 165. Like, what bloody hell? To bring this down, I'm like, I'm gonna get passed by somebody on a mobility scooter in a minute, do you know? And it was so difficult. I remember Charlotte was saying, 2 people overtook me.
What's good?
But you know, it's not a race, you know.
But
so
again, it has the additional knock-on effect, as you were saying to Charlotte the other day.
yes.
Again,
So
your ability to affect your heart rate with your breathing, with your force relaxing, that also has a huge knock-on effect for your kettlebells, because you don't want your heart through the roof.
Yeah. And what was really good is like when you are running to your heart rate is you just have to change your mindset. So you have to get the pace out of your head, but also it forces you to think about your breathing, your technique, and all of these different things that sometimes you don't consider when you're trying to go 100 miles an hour all of the time, you know. But it's so difficult. Completely get it, you know. Obviously, I know you do it on the rower, and obviously going for longer periods can seem laborious and stuff. So what I've said to guys who don't want to sit on a rower for 35, 40 minutes up to an hour, or don't want to go for a run or can't run for up to an hour and stuff, is I got this off one of my mentors, and he was talking about triathlons in the gym. Real basic, but really a good way of being able to get that, but challenge the boredom factor. So basically what he was doing, he split it down, so he would go bike, treadmill and row.
Oh, okay, cool.
So like looking at the session, he was like 15 minutes, you know, or however long your prescription works. And he found that really good. But what he was trying to do, he was trying to push it, is sometimes he would try and go as fast as he possibly could. So he'd try and set a marker on his triathlon and try and beat that, dependent on what the focus was. But from a kettlebell sport point of view, if you are one of these people that, like say, struggles to run because of previous injuries and stuff like that, but finds staying on one piece of kit quite boring, or it doesn't really excite you, you don't really want to get it done, then maybe give that a go. Give the triathlon a go, because what I would say is, heart obviously is a powerful muscle, but it's a bit of a dumb muscle, because it doesn't know if you're on a treadmill, doesn't know if you are on a bike, doesn't know if you're on a rower, doesn't know if you're skipping, doesn't know if you're doing jumping jacks. All it knows is it just needs to speed up to feed the activity of whatever you're doing. So for me, this week, I was going to go for a run on Wednesday, pulled away from the gym, 7 o'clock in the morning, just about to go home, park up, go for my run and get it done. And one of the clients, flat tyre, so my morning cardio was changing a flat tyre. So rather than not doing it though, I just got the skipping rope out and I was just skipping in the gym. 35 minutes, went on to my kettlebells afterwards, because that's the way my training's structured. And yeah, at the end of the day, I got my heart rate up to average 135, 140 for the full session. Try to keep it a nice steady reading throughout. Yeah, felt great. Obviously, just keep on improving that, you know.
I listen to audiobooks when I'm on the road, I must admit.
But I think
it's great.
It all depends, and I know we've got some good rowers in the group and stuff, and these guys are really phenomenal on the row. Like, kick my ass any day of the week on a road. You know, they know the stroke volume, and they know the rate that they're rowing, and they're breaking down the numbers in the mind, and doing this and they're doing that, which is great. You know. But for me, I'm doing it as a means to an end. You know, I'm doing it because it's part of the performance puzzle for me. So I'm sort of like running to my heart rate because I know that I need a good cardio output for the bells to maximise that. But if you can find something like that where it keeps you engaged, where you can break something down, even better. You know, so there's loads of different ways. If I obviously Si at the moment, obviously he rows because he kind of, you're right, be saying because you kind of have to a little bit. Well, just because we want to improve.
My knees are knackered. I can't run anymore. You know, I need to start getting on my bike a lot more.
But what I'm saying is, like, Si's not sat on the row, is sort of thinking, right, well, if I hit this stroke volume, if I look at my splits and stuff like that, do you know? But that might come further in the time. That might be another thing that'll keep you engaged.
Well, I kind of know roughly how quick I need to. My thing is, I need a certain stroke and a certain pull feel to keep my heart rate where it is.
Yeah.
I know that, and so now because that's nicely ingrained, I can then, as I say, I listen to audiobooks, and that means just that I'm taking my mind off the boredom, taking my mind elsewhere, and actually learning and using that time productively. So in twofold.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a bloke multitasking, not just sitting up
and
breathing.
Pull on that, you. Go you. Last week I started that one. I'm going to go off the couch this week, but yeah, it's like I say. I think it's really interesting, but it's difficult. So for any guys who are possibly in the group or watching this and thinking about, okay, my cardio output, I know I need to build up that cardio base. I'd really recommend doing it. It speeds up your recovery. It helps your foundation on any of the high intensity exercise that you do. Okay. It really interesting because I was chatting to somebody who was like, yeah, but look at the VO2 max increased on the Tabata study when they did 20 and 10 and they did that and stuff like that. But the guys in the Tabata study also did one session a week, which was done at 70% over 30 minutes, I think. So it supported that.
Look,
you know,
the Tabata thing.
So they were still doing long duration, slow work. You know, but I really recommend it because it just allows you to get into that parasympathetic stage a lot quicker. Just speeds up the recovery. A lot quicker, do you know? So
just think about it, flushing all of the stuff out of your muscles, getting the good stuff in there. Yeah. And then also building your heart volume and strength.
So. But nobody's judging you if you're getting passed by an 80-year-old who's been running all of their life and they're passing you by because you're running at your heart rate and you know you could run faster, but remember that's not the goal of the session. So but it's been really interesting chatting to the guys this week. So, but I'm going to have to run slow, do this and do that. But just remember the bigger picture and stuff as well, you know. But no, it's been a great week for the gym and for me, myself as well, you know. So it's been really cool. So I'm really looking forward to
Grassroots tomorrow.
Grassroots tomorrow, heading all the way down to Leicester and taking a bit of team. There's eight of us going down.
Yeah,
I think there's eight from Toonova going down, setting off early doors, getting down there, support the great guys who are doing some awesome stuff like that on the grassroots scene down there, and look forward to seeing another gym that's promoting kettlebell sport in the country, which will be fantastic. But also, like my own lifting. I'm lifting all three lifts in 30 kilos tomorrow.
You gave me a nice little kicker that I wasn't necessarily planning.
So, well, mate, this is what happens when you don't enter your own competition.
I know. I've learned a valuable lesson there.
So size on the 24s for jerk along cycle and 28s on snatch, So
I am now.
But it'd be good, you know. It'd be really interesting to see. We've got some good young guys coming down and some guys trying some heavier weights and stuff as well. So really looking forward to it. Should be good. Should be good. We'll look forward to chatting about it next week. But yeah, man. Like I say, it's been a pleasure, guys. Really look forward to catching up. Give us your feedback. Remember, just type in replay or live if you're on that. We haven't been able to access, so sorry if I've missed your comments and stuff like that on there. I promise we'll have a better setup next week. Just trying to do everything. But what I will exactly what I will say is we're going to be putting a lot of these videos onto YouTube. So to make sure you don't miss out, although we post them in the Kettlebell community group, head over to the YouTube channel where we do all of the technique analysis. Hit subscribe, click on the notifications, so make sure you're getting a reminder from when any videos are uploaded onto there. There'll be even more great content coming in, and next week I've got a special guest, a fantastic performance coach, and we are going to be talking about all things strength training. So check that out, guys. I'm really excited to pick his brains on all things strength. It'd be really interesting to get his thoughts and his feedback from an outsider looking in, and in terms of how he would approach for kettlebell sport, but also understanding the requirements that it needs to be a really good all-round athlete and stuff as well. So really excited for that, guys. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled for that. But as always, guys, keep engaging in the group. Keep chatting, keep dropping your videos. It's absolutely awesome. I think I checked before. I think we're over 100 people now in the group, which is brilliant, you know, because everybody's commenting and getting involved, and it's fantastic. So remember, guys, we do this for you. I just want to get my knowledge out there and help as many kettlebell lifters as possible. And if that could be like a tiny little bit of information, then I'll be happy. So if you can help me spread the message and help me get more information out there, guys, I'll be totally appreciated. So subscribe on YouTube, invite your friends into the group, and yeah, we'll keep on this great content coming. So, but until next time, guys, take it easy.
Take care, guys. Oh, shall I stop this?
Yeah.